Leeches podcast, episode 1. Let's get right into it. Right into it. Big doings today, Alice.
Yes. We were going to record one last night, and then too much was going on. We had to wait for today's revelations.
Right. Last night's kind of collapsed after 30 minutes before we had a chance. Anyway, that's fine. So the way we are, because we have so many things happening in our family, is it's easier for us. Well, do you think it makes it possible? There's many kids and many animals here. So if anything ever goes wrong live, it's a tough one. And sometimes, Anyway, let's just start.
Right. We'll just start.
You had the end of not even, I wouldn't call it a feud today, but the end of one of Kirk's longtime trolls and one of media's longtime trolls. Brian Rio passed away recently.
This is incredible. So can I just say this? Because I didn't, and obviously I'm a newcomer to this, right? So I started listening last year to the old KMS episodes, like going through them and listening to
Starting from the beginning.
Right. Starting from the beginning, because I was told by you that I could never understand KMS unless I started from the beginning. Right. So I started from the beginning. And one of the things that I came across with you was Brian Rio is a thing on KMS because Brian Rio was my first encounter with literal internet trolls, right? People who spend all their time and energy online trying to tear people down.
Right.
And I remember this because this was when you first started working at the Herald and the Lowell Sun and stuff, is Brian Rio had a problem with you and was tweeting out stuff about you and your family and our address and our stuff, and in a way that I felt threatened by, that I complained to you and you brought to your editor because I complained to you because this person was a psychopath. Yeah. Replied to every single tweet of yours with personal information and stuff, right?
Yeah,
This person was a lunatic.
Right.
So I looked at the Turtle Boy stuff and the KMS stuff in terms of Brian Rio, and I understand. It's weird because I understand sort of both sides of it, right? Turtle Boy feeling bad for Brian Rio and Kirk saying good, Brian Ricio's dead, which also I totally identify with, honestly. I get it. It's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me that you as a person who is literally fucking dying. You're dying. You've been around dying people. I've been around dying people. People who are literally going through this transitional period from the realm of the living into being dead, right? And it's such a profound, deep, crazy experience. And the idea that you would spend the last days of that fucking tweeting at people about
recently?
politics.
I have
No, it's literally recently. It's at you, it's at Kirk, it's at everybody. The dude's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's at Turtle Boy. Most recently it's at Turtle Boy because he's had the Karen Reed stuff.
And
so
he's had a falling out with
his young jerks people are pro Turtle Boy and he's against it. It's whatever. But honestly, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. I like Turtle Boy and I probably believe him about shit more than I believe psychopath Brian Rio. However, that being said, I cannot imagine spending my last days on this earth tweeting about that in whatever capacity. Right. In whatever capacity. I can't imagine spending my last days on planet Earth tweeting about Karen Reed and Turtle Boy and any of that stuff. That's insane to me.
Well, you don't always know it's your last days.
Okay, fine. So you don't always know. But that being said, so it's funny because I knew Brian Rio before. Right,
you knew him from harassing people at the Herald,
right? So I
didn't
know anything about. I didn't know anything about Kirk Minahan or KMS or Murchison or any of this stuff, right? Because I was not. You were listening to that stuff, but I was not in that world, and I was just not paying attention. And so I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. But I knew at the time in like the 2010s that this person was spending hours of his day tweeting at you, tweeting at me, tweeting about our kids, tweeting about everything. Like, this person was a psychopath who spent every spare minute that he had tweeting about people that he didn't know, trying to get them doxxed and attacked and whatever.
So,
like, this was his MO. That's all he did.
So eventually everybody like probably blocked him.
Blocked, muted, whatever. Like, I have all his accounts blocked and muted. Like, I don't care.
He's one of those guys that you know, he looked, first of all, he looked the part. He looked like a creep. And also there was just simply was just the threatening nature, and the particular, this is the kind of guy who would be the first 6 replies to any tweet you put out.
Oh,
so like anything tweet that Kirk and Jerry had put out there.
Kirk, Jerry, you, me, anyone. This guy had like no discrimination between any of these things, and that's like what was disturbing, was that this person had all the time in the world to like tweet replies to everybody.
And, part of that was, and I got some of his whole thing. Part of that was that he really just wanted to be famous, and the whole thing's going to be explained in a moment, because one of the greatest interviews ever done ever. No, it might be even Kirk's best interview ever, was with Brian Rio. And let's play Kirk's stuff.
Well, but it's interesting because, one second. I understand. But I didn't know until I started my, like, re-listen of KMS, which people clued me into, which is, like, when I came to know everything you were ever into and all your interests. And I first knew you when I, a year ago, started listening to KMS in backlog, because I was like, oh, this is why you were talking to me about this at this time in history. Anyway, I didn't know that Brian Rio was a KMS character until the past like year or so, when I started re-listening to KMS from the beginning, and I was like, oh my god, Brian Rio is a thing, because I originally fucking clocked Brian Rio as a threat years ago before I knew that was a thing. Okay, fine.
Well, he is. I don't know that Kirk has done much talking about him in years. It's been a few years since.
No, it's like probably 2019 when Kirk last talked about him.
Well, but probably everybody blocked him, whatever, etc. But the guy was a creepy dude. Here's Kirk's send off for him today.
I saw Turtle Boy tweet out this morning that a very old enemy, one really other than Merchant, the first is that someone calling now, calling it. Brian Rio, the older listeners remember him, hated the show, partnered up with Murchison and Shirley at EEI. And then was early on here. Mike almost got into a fight with him outside of, he took Kirk to town.
I wish.
I think that was Steve.
Guy, just a scumbag. He died yesterday. Turtle Boy tweet out he had heard, I can confirm that's true, he's dead. Had some sort of heart attack or liver or something.
He was waiting for a kidney.
Wretched human being who literally, like, I joke around. Obviously, Sneakers drives me crazy sometimes, but Sneakers legitimately made a mistake. He did not know Tibbetts had this history, would not have done that. Rio did things like that, like try to out my kids, like try to, say where I lived, and, would do all these things and post my address and pictures of my house and all kinds of crap. And partnered with Mercer and tried to really ruin my life. He died, and I saw Turtle Boy tweet out these sad in the way that he lived such a miserable life and he feels bad for him. I am sorry as well. I'm sorry that he didn't live longer and suffer more. And I hope his last moments were alone. I'm sure they were. And just
they were
full of misery, because he was a terrible, terrible. And I see some of these people who are extreme lefties tweeting out what a great guy he was.
He was not a great guy.
You could think that. I'm just telling you, he was a really bad, bad, bad human being. So I am glad that he's dead.
So I want to go back, and I think this is part of it, like the way Kirk handles certain people who are either stressing him, agitating him, or whatever. Maybe it's like what shrinks tell you to do, whatever. He has at one point had enough of this guy, and so he brought him on his podcast at EEI, the Enough About Me podcast. And this exists. It's up there. This starts with Kirk talking. Okay, it's the Minifan
show. So he brought him on because he was an annoying, useless troll,
right? And
who had nothing to offer to the universe.
Exactly. So first he goes through, and this is the Enough About Me interview. I loved this interview so much because everybody knew anybody who was like conservative, or Kirk wasn't even a conservative. He was with
not.
Jerry, and Riccio spent his time, and I've got a whole bunch of tweets all about that show. I had screenshot through the years Riccio stuff. Some of it was probably for our lawyers.
I've sent some of it to the police. Honestly, the Riccio stuff,
and some of it is for whatever. But in everything calling Jerry stuff and Kirk stuff, and then our own stuff, whatever, etc. But here's Kirk going through a little bit of some of Riccio's tweets.
Well, put it this way. Let me see here. I'll give you one. Here's a decent one that he tweeted at me a while ago. Here it is. We were doing the Cullen ones. Nah, that one's not actually that funny. Well, put it this way. He calls Jerry Cancer Kazoo. That's the kind of sense of humor we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I like watching a racist dickhead like Mini Brain admitting his gay love for an old, racist, drunken loser like John Dennis. Okay.
Not a great roast, obviously. But this guy was not a smart guy. He looked around, and first of all, he wants to be a star. You could tell that for years. I could tell that. He wanted to write a book about, he used to drive as a chauffeur, and like the seat behind me had an idea for a book about all the experiences with celebs he had, which are not really experiences with celebs that these celebs would remember, but he wanted to be somebody.
He was semi-important.
So internet badass was the thing he decided to be. He wasn't a creative guy. And by the way, I don't feel bad about saying this stuff. This is a guy who was a prick 100% of the time. Anytime.
Well, and that's honestly, I'm the type of person that I want to feel bad for anyone who's dead and like not speak ill of the dead, and that's like my vibe. I don't want to be happy that anybody's dead. This guy, long term, was like a mute block situation. Yeah. Because, and I don't understand people who do this, but like spend 100% of his time online replying to people more famous than he was,
right?
Giving them shit.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it was weird. I mean, it's honestly like pathetic and sad and strange, and I feel bad for him.
Yeah, well, he thought that he was being some kind of hero for anybody on the left, which is why he not only went after Jerry and Kirk and Howie, but also like me, and I'd be 156th on the totem pole there. But the entire time, just been going after all these people. I didn't lose any sleep over it. I did think he was a effing creep. There's no fucking doubt about that.
Here it is. Here's one from May of 2018. Kill yourself then. You've obviously realized that your lot in life is to hang around this town until you get sick of your shit and you go back to being a fluffer in gay porn, which is where I believe they found you in the first place. Well, first of all, Kirk Minahan was never a fluffer in gay porn. That's
true.
Absurd challenge.
Accurate.
Absurd thing to say. I was a quality character, never a leading man, a good character actor in gay porn. I was like,
there we go.
I'm trying to think.
I like that.
Almost like a Gary Oldman of gay porn. I could do British.
That's Sirius Black in the Harry Potter.
I was in Foreskin Gump. I was in Edward Penis Hands.
Beverly Hills Cop.
For 5 or 6 years, I was one of the best working supporting actors in gay pornography. Never a fluffer.
Oh my God.
Never a fluffer.
Never a fluffer.
Didn't do anything when the camera was off. When the red light was on, it was go time. So stuff like that. So I just thought it'd be interesting. And again, if somebody else has done this before,
nobody had
me. I don't know, but a hater, a real troll. And the host having just a conversation about it, because I am interested to hear this thought process from this person. So we're going to do that on this episode of a busy week. And by the way, tweet at me at Kirkman if you have any podcast guest ideas or any thoughts about the podcast. Obviously, subscribe and give a review and go to Stitcher. And I want more feedback as I continue to do this. And I've loved to do that.
Sorry,
in that way as well.
So this is from the Enough About Me podcast, correct?
Exactly. So now
this is before. So
yes, everybody listening knows when this was.
Can I say something?
Okay,
now?
you've been. Yes, go ahead.
you don't have to put up with me if you
No,
don't
go
want
ahead.
to.
Go ahead.
Which is that, like, I didn't at all until I started my re-listen of KMS, which, like, re-listen. I guess
You
my
didn't know
first
that
listen of
Riccio
KMS.
was part of that world?
I didn't know Riccio was a Miniverse character.
You
because
can't keep saying that. We know, everybody knows by now that you didn't know that he was part of the Miniverse.
You're such an asshole to me.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you were repeating it. We're getting somewhere.
Okay, well, I was gonna say that when I was like surprised to find that out because Riccio had like been harassing me for
Yes,
years
okay.
at
I'm
that
gonna
point.
I don't want you to be upset, but we have been down that road many times now. You've made that very clear. I just want to get to him.
You're a huge dickhead, but that's fine.
But in this is like Kirk does this with people. I find that when somebody's really effed with him, and he did it with I guess Mayo a little bit, Yellow Shirt Guy, and some other people. Like he'll bring people who have bothered him, gone at him, etc. in person.
And nobody sucks more than Brian Rio.
I think that's right. And he eviscerates these people, and he does it to Brian Rio, and it's effing awesome.
We're back here. How do you pronounce your last name, Brian?
Riccio.
Riccio. Okay, so I had it right in the open. We did the former what was it? At Trump Watching One or whatever it was. It's since been deleted. Now a different. What happened to the old Twitter account?
I had incurred the enmity of a certain White House official through a tweet, and I think that's why I had been suspended.
Okay. So the nervous man incurred the enmity. He's nervous. Already, he's dealing now not with Kirk Minahan's Twitter account. He's dealing now with the actual guy, with the actual Kirk Minahan. And so Tough Guy is no longer tough.
Okay, so let's just have this conversation, because I thought it'd be interesting as I reached out to you to have somebody who is a semi-public media figure, and somebody who relentlessly and endlessly, which is obviously I don't block you, so I mean that's so that's okay, but the endless sort of reaction and to every single one of them, I'm just curious as to the mindset. That's all, and it's not even really a criticism. Look, you can't. If you're me in the past, a couple of years ago, I would block people, I would do this, but now like I can't call people out and then become this block fucking master and this asshole and say fuck you, don't do this, and go after this guy and whatever. So I'm just curious as to the thought process. That's all.
Well, I get that. I don't block anyone either. So
don't block anyone either.
My issue with you,
because
Kirk,
you're not
is
anybody.
that I just feel that you have this tendency to hang on to things from your past, like the Murchison Leung thing.
Okay.
And then,
but here, I guess Brian, my point to that is like, just don't like. What do you? So that obviously is something that bothers me. Why do you give a shit if it bothers me so much? Like, who cares?
I'm sorry, what?
Why do you care? Like, if it bothers me so much, I hang on to it. Like, don't follow me. Why do you care if it bothers me? You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit?
In a way, Kirk. In a way, I like you as a person. Okay? I think.
Well, okay. Let me.
Can you imagine?
Tweet from
Really?
May of 2000.
Can you imagine? Already, that's it. Disarmed. I like you as a person.
I really like you, though.
Basically, this was the thing. This is the real essence of the guy's life. He just wanted to be hanging with them. He
just wants to be cool.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, that's what he wants.
Yes, that was always it.
But that's what's so sad.
And if Kirk had said, okay, just immediately start slamming everybody on the left and do anti-trans stuff, etc., Richie would have said, okay, no problem. As a matter of fact, at the end of this interview, Kirk pretends, or whatever, you'll see, Riccio is really interested in working with him. He's excited.
Which is more humiliating, by the way, this interview with Riccio or the, Mark Moroso dog food stuff?
Oh, this is much more. This is much more. Because, I don't know much about Moroso's actually producing this. With this interview that we're hearing right now.
Right.
He's mentioned in the beginning of it.
18 from
Sure.
Brian Riccio to Kirk Minahan. Kill yourself. You've obviously realized that your lot in life is to hang around this town until they get sick of your shit and you go back to being a fluffer in gay porn, which I read before. I love watching a racist dickhead like Mini Brain admit his gay love. Let me see. You like jerking Jerry and I jerk each other off while looking at pictures of gay Olympians, white ones. Mr. Big Time Media Maggot, which is me, and Cancer Kazoo, which is my friend Jerry Callahan, who's had cancer. Seemed not to be able to. An old Italian guy. Mini Dick faces most dangerous case to date. So I mean, I would say it's when I read that, it seems difficult for me to believe, and I don't care if you like me or not, but that does.
No, I get that.
But when you tell me to kill myself, and you're welcome to say that. Others have. It's hard. Would you see why it might be hard for me to believe that before we kick this off that I might not find that to be true?
I get that. I get that you might feel that that's not true.
Okay.
Again, I said I liked you, and do I exhibit that level of vitriol anymore towards you?
I don't know. I mean, certainly you've gone at me. Even the other day with the DeMarcus Cousins stuff, you were back at it. Which again, Brian, I'm not. This is not something where I'm telling you don't tweet. You can tweet at me 50, 100, 3,000 times a day. I just have to listen.
Which he does
Jesus,
to a lot of
interesting.
people.
Maybe I'm like I said in the open. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never heard a conversation like this between sort of not an unknown, but whatever you do, whatever I do, sort of this back and forth between a guy who does this relentlessly and somebody, because I think most people are like, well, I'm going to block. I mean, I'm guessing you've been blocked by almost everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
not almost everyone, but still.
You know what I mean, though. I mean, so I'll put it this way: why do you call Jerry Callahan, who is my friend, Cancer Kazoo? Where's the humor in that?
I'm not trying to be humorous.
Well, what's the point of it?
I'm trying to make the point that Jerry is a racist.
By calling him, well, first of all, I don't think that's true, and secondly, by calling him Cancer Kazoo, you're making a point that he's a racist?
Yes.
By calling him Cancer Kazoo.
Let me ask you a question. If he's going to say hurtful things and expect no blowback,
I'm not saying he doesn't expect. I'm not saying
you hurt somebody like that.
I'm not saying he
Hurtful
doesn't expect any blowback, but I'm saying
Hurtful.
I'm under where's the humor in that?
I'm not trying to be humorous.
Oh, okay. So what?
Point.
Your point? Okay. And the point of telling me to kill myself is what?
No, Kirk. Let's just get something straight. I'll apologize.
Let's get something straight. He's apologizing. Can you imagine? That's all it took.
Right.
That's all it took.
The guy's a fucking pussy.
Alice, he's dead. 1, 2. He's not. He might
He's
have.
a pussy. He's
Well,
dead,
yeah,
and he's a pussy.
I think that's absolutely. Yeah.
And I say that as somebody who, I mean, like, he is a Kirk enemy. That's not why I'm mad at him. It's like, this is a person who's been fucking haunting me online for 15 years. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, this Brian Riccio, and I say this as somebody who, like, really got into KMS in the last couple of years. Brian Riccio is a person who has bothered me online for like a decade and a half. And like, I don't, it is what it is, but it's like it's an insight into a soul of a person. Do you not think that it is? That this person is like on here, and I've spent a lot of time in my life wondering like what type of person spends all their time like replying to other people's tweets 24/7. Like, that's psychotic behavior.
Yes, it is.
That's weird. And like
I tried to apologize for those remarks when I reached out to you privately after your little meltdown and said I'd love to sit down and talk to you.
Yeah, we had a nice call. We had a nice back and forth on we messaged each other back and forth.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
I know you've had your issues,
So
mental health, right?
I apologize.
Right. You've had your mental health issues. So have I.
He just wants to be a Minute fan. That's all Brian Riccio really wanted. He just wanted Kirk to love him. That is it. This whole thing was. It's freaking pathetic.
That's so weird.
I'm not coming to the point here.
Kirk, I'll admit it. At first,
And by the way, this guy, Riccio, after he did this interview, should have thrown away his social media forever.
But he
didn't. All of it, which was ridiculous. Minahan,
he's continued on for years.
He may have like literally like died this year. Minahan killed him and raped him in this year, in what we're listening to right now, 2019, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
This is unrecoverable. You can't go back to being a tough guy troll after you are mauled and beg for mercy and beg to be friends with a little olive branch.
But he is, and he did it honestly. Like, he's started trouble with like Turtle Boy this year over the Karen Reed stuff and all this stuff. Like, he just doesn't stop.
But you were just another one of those run-of-the-mill right-wing morons.
Well, I'm not. But
okay?
I'm not a Republican.
Completely. Huh?
I'm not a Republican.
Even if there is a run-of-the-mill right-wing moron, to spend your entire day just being Mr. Reply and like doxing people and threatening
It's
people.
so
et cetera.
insane.
I know. I didn't know that. Did
Okay.
I know that? I didn't.
I have no idea.
I didn't really know much about.
So
you
then,
at
so
all.
you didn't know
I
much
just
about me,
started
but
doing
yet you're saying these things about me, not knowing me at all. Like, at least do some research.
No, what I knew was what the public perceived of Kirk Minahan. Okay, but as I started to study more and more about you, I started to see more and more of myself in you.
Ooh!
Don't say that.
That's why I have tempered down that initial
Every Minifan
criticism,
ever.
because I'm a lot worse to a lot of other people, and half the reason I got suspended from that first account was because I was so.
I was so
caustic.
Kirk
Is
Minahan
that the word I
like.
should
But I'd ask you, what's the
I was
game
so
in
Kirk
tweeting
Minahan
things
like.
that
Can
to
I
people?
just
Like, what's the
Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead, go ahead.
interject one moment, please? Because this is like every Minifan's problem, right?
No, it's not. What do you mean? I don't think every Minivan has a problem. What is that crap?
You're saying that like I don't love the Minifans. I love the Minifans. However, there's a thing that some people get when they get under the hot lights when they're like, "But Kirk, I'm just like you." And Steve from Gloucester, who I love, and all these people, right? Like, there's a thing that some people get where they feel the need to explain to Kirk that they relate to Kirk.
Okay, so there are some people who, in order to survive better around him, some Minifans who adapt the Minifanese language, which is using a lot of Kirk's.
But Kirk, I'm just like you.
You don't know, but they don't say that. But they say stuff like what are we doing here? Like the stuff Kirk says. That's the kind of thing they do.
Right.
And we're doing this now. It's just like the people. There are some people who just act just like him, and that's a tough one. And I have a couple times on my radio show said like, "What are we doing here?" But it pretty much ends there. But there are some other guys, other Minifans who don't act like him at all. Like
Okay.
Polar doesn't act like him. Obviously, Manners doesn't
Tim
act
and
like him.
Canton does not act like Kirk.
No,
Has
Blind Mike
no
doesn't
affairs.
act like Kirk.
Blind Mike doesn't act like Kirk.
I think it's like some of
There's
like
a bunch who don't.
DEC or MHB might have. This is like back. I never really.
That's old school. Though,
That's really old
right?
school. Yeah. There's the thing. Yeah. 100%. It's a Barstool Kirk Minahan thing right there, right? Yeah. 100%. He and Coleman can go yeah each other for 10 minutes right before they hit 100%. Usually it's not him hitting the 100%. It's somebody else. Let me jump back into this.
Accomplished. I'm all. By the way, do it all you want. I'm sure as hell never like what gets done. Like
This
so,
is my favorite thing about Kirk mauling somebody is he leaves him alive. Doesn't finish him. He wants this guy to be awake as he's torturing him.
For instance, like you've tweeted for years now that I'm a racist, and I'll admit I take that personally because I'm not. You can say you're not all day, but when somebody does it, the argument's already over. But yet you offer no proof. You have no proof of that. None.
You tell me you sat next to a virulent racist for years.
Who? Jerry Callahan?
Yes.
That's ridiculous. I'm telling you, bro, honestly, he's a good friend of mine. I've been with him, through some really tough times in each of our lives. I've seen him around all kinds of people. The last thing in the world, Jerry Callahan, is he, do I think has he been super loyal to me? That's a different conversation. But he's a great guy. And do I think he's a racist? I absolutely do not. Are there things when you're on the radio for 4 hours a day for 25 years that you're like a mulligan on? Sure. Was he the one, by the way, when you go back and look at that moment, that really was a lead voice in that? He was not. And he's not a virulent racist because he's a Republican. He's not a virulent racist because he voted for Trump. He's just not. I've been with him. He's not. And that is something, whether it's Adam Jones or DeMarcus Cousins, and as I've said a million times, if there's any proof on those guys at all, I am happy. Put them in jail. I don't care. But I'm so sick of the racist charge. It is such bullshit with no proof. None.
Kirk, how many black hosts have shows on WEI?
How many black hosts have shows in Boston?
No, I'm not talking. We're not
At
talking.
the time, Michael Hawley had a show on EI, and the guy from NECN used to be on there sometimes. And it's not the point. Like
It's not the point.
They want ratings. That's a station that wants ratings. There weren't any women hosts either. It wasn't because they were sexist. They wanted ratings. They needed talented people. It's like, oh God, it's so freaking stale.
How many? Well, how many?
Overall,
How many black hosts have shows on? How many? Brian? How many black? I'll answer the question in a second. How many black hosts have shows on 98.5?
I don't know anything about.
Okay,
98.5. I can't
zero.
tell you.
Michael Hawley was on EEI forever. Jermaine Wiggins is now a regular on WEI. Larry Johnson has been a host on WEI forever.
Full-time host, has his own show.
He was on the week. He's been on the Saturday morning weekend show, which is the Lee weekend show.
Saturday morning weekend.
And he was on. Hold on, and he was on with Glenn for 15 years.
Yes.
Michael Hawley was a host on the station for 15 years. Jermaine Wiggins is now. And what show did Jermaine Wiggins start going on first?
I have no idea.
Oh well, since you're lobbing these bombs out there on Jerry and Mutt's show, I know because I talked to those guys. It's Jerry's idea. Jerry wanted to have him on. We tried to have Gary Washburn on. He wasn't great. Believe me when I tell you, if there's a black guy or woman on who's good,
And by the way,
we're gonna try
and
and
let the record show here. Kirk is allowing this. He's entertaining this straw man because Kirk is not the program director for WEI and never was.
or they're not me, not my show anymore. They'll try and have them on. They'll be happy to have them on.
Kirk.
And by the way, hold on, Brian. By the way, if there was never a black person on the station ever, which if they're good, they should be on. Does that mean Jerry Callahan is racist?
No, I'm not saying that.
You have a radio show, right?
You
have a radio show?
I'm not trying to make the two.
Brian,
Yes.
what's it called?
No, I don't have a radio show. I do not have a radio.
You have a Young Jerks thing or something?
No, that's a friend of mine's show that I was on occasionally.
What color is that guy?
He's white.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh,
So you must be racist then.
That's
No,
Mike
not at all.
Can or whatever. By the way,
Yeah, who, by the way, is now enemies with Brian Rio because that guy was pro Turtle Boy in the Karen Reed thing, which is like a whole can of fish that you and I haven't even got into the Karen Reed thing because it's so much in the weeds and the whole thing and all the people and the police and all the stuff, right?
well, listen to this bit of trivia, Alice. You'll get this. I love listening to ignorant racists like at Hillary Chabot and at Tom Shattuck jerking each other off over their blatant racism regarding Senator Warren when they could give two fucks about Native Americans and worship a traitorous racist like Trump. Hillary Chabot actually went on a date with Mike Can of the Young Turks.
No.
Jerks. Yes.
Wow.
There you go. Piece of trivia.
Wow.
Why not? I mean, why don't you demand to get a black guy in the studio with you? Go. That's so disgusting. It's so disgusting that you would allow that to happen. It's going to be hard for me to continue this conversation with you, but that's fine. So again, let's remove Jerry away from this for a moment, as stupid as that is. And I've seen you do this the other day. You did it again with DeMarcus Cousins. When all I want, ask me whatever you want.
Experience with racism in the city of Boston. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Winchester.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Revere, and then I moved to the Charlestown. Then I moved to the Bunker Hill Projects during the bus. Okay. Then I was the only white kid in an all-black record store for years.
Okay.
Okay. I grew up hearing the N-word every day of my life.
Okay.
Not from
So
white
you
people.
turn around and try and say that it didn't happen to Adam Jones.
I don't think it happened to
It
Adam
happened
Jones.
to Garden.
I didn't say that. No, Brian, first of all, I didn't say that. I said, I don't believe it happened to Adam Jones, okay? Because I've been to Fenway. I'm guessing you have as well. I've been to Fenway, I don't know, 250
How many
times.
black people you see at Fenway at a game?
250 times in my, not a lot. Not a lot. You're right about that.
All
250 times, I'm going to guess conservatively in my life.
By the way, you don't see a lot. That's the guy who got rid of the Yawkey Way sign is the reason you don't see a lot of black people at Fenway because it's expensive as hell.
Of
And I've
course.
been to that spot where Adam Jones claimed. And for it to be that loud, you and I both know a lot of people would have.
Let me move
I've
this along a little
spent
bit.
zero time in my life hanging around. I've done two
Don't you
podcasts.
record your thing in his studio?
I've done no, I don't. As I said today, I'm at the Mix 104 studio. I don't record with Howie. I recorded
Okay.
recording
so
at somebody's
you
studio.
moved
I
on
was
to
not hang
Howie.
out with them. So a lot. Okay. So Jerry, who I disagree with. Howie, who else?
Dino?
Dino, who I'm not friends with at all. And by the way, famously not friends with. And I don't think I've never heard him say a racist thing ever. So who else?
You don't read his Twitter timeline?
I don't. I actually don't. He blocked me.
So
I
if he
don't
reads
follow
his
him.
Twitter timeline, he's
What?
He
implicated.
You're
blocked
a
me,
racist
so I
then.
don't follow him.
Why would he block you and not me?
Well, because we had a big falling out. Maybe he unblocked me since, but I don't follow him. Who else?
That's about it.
Okay, so a lot. So a lot are three.
I would have killed for him to mention me right there. You know.
Oh.
Of
If
which
only
I-
Brian Rio had been like, you're friends with Tom Shattuck, your fellow classmate from Winchester High
No.
School,
I know.
tried to hire you at Boston Herald Radio, huge racist, you would have died to have
Well, let
that
the record
mentioned
show, by the
there.
way, also to prove that Kirk is a racist. I had, and we moved into our house the one in 1978. We had a black neighbor. Let me tell you who didn't. On the west side of town, Kirk Minahan.
I disagree with. So I guess so. So this is sort of what I'm saying is why I don't really get angry at you when I go back and forth, because I sort of know that you're coming from a point where you don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
So at least you'd agree that you don't really know what you're talking about. You said at the beginning. You said you didn't know.
No, I don't know enough about the station. Okay, I feel I know enough about the personalities involved.
This is rough.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. This is Kirk's best interview.
Okay.
I think.
So
what would you like me to say?
No, I'm just curious as to the thought process. That's all. I guess you've done that. So you don't have any specific examples of me being a racist, though.
See, I like how you always seem to get into that.
Yeah, always getting those tricky specifics when somebody lobs a charge at me. What's that?
Because you and your minions have this little thing where you say, we need proof. We need.
I know, it's so weird, Brian. I apologize for that. I hate needing proof for stuff. I know that makes me sort of an asshole, and I feel bad about that. When somebody lobs horrible charges at me, I then respond with some proof, and then when none's given to me, and they say, you're always asking for proof. I don't know. I mean, how would you feel when you're a court of law on the other side said that?
Because you don't come out and use the N-word, okay?
Oh,
does not
my God.
mean
Oh, my
that you
God.
don't.
Wait, Kirk doesn't actually use the N-word?
Okay?
I don't simply.
Oh, now he's trying to. I think Riccio now
He's
is
not that kind of racist?
somebody like listening next to him on the phone is telling him how badly he's getting beaten. So like, get up and call him a racist again. I'm gonna move it forward a little bit. I just want to get to the part where, and we haven't had this. These aren't cuts. So the part where Riccio wants to do a movie podcast with him.
Like you might, and I don't hang around with racists, but people like you might think that. But again,
Okay,
I will ask you, Brian, I'm going to ask you one last time. Brian, one last time. Yeah, people like you. One last time. A specific example of me, not my friends, not people I use the studio for, me, Kirk Minahan.
And I've just said to you, Kirk, like I've said before, I don't have any.
Oh, okay. That's all I need to hear. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay.
Other than the fact that
right,
you hang around
sure,
with a lot of racists.
Like plant my power.
Other than the fact that you hang around
whether you're any other issues with me? I brought you on for me and sort of this endless retorting that you do to me. What else? Anything?
I think that you should. I think that you're a talented broadcaster, and that you should let go of this feud you seem to be carrying on continuously with Murchison and Shirley Young. And
Shirley, who Shirley, your friends are Shirley.
By the way, Kirk went out and had a feud with Murchison and Shirley Leung.
Right. You should let go of the feud. The guy gets ransacked by a fake journalist.
Kirk went out and started to randomly decide to have a feud with Bob Murchison and Shirley Leung.
Correct?
Okay.
Your friends with Shirley? Is that correct?
No, I'm not friends with Shirley at all.
Okay.
We've met, and in fact, the second or third time I've ever encountered her on Twitter, I called her a shill, and she said to me, "You could call me a shill all day long. I don't care."
Oh no, there's no. She's got thick skin like you wouldn't believe. No question.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, and I mean, the thought process is always interesting to me, and my suspicion is
trying to get to
you're going to get banned again on Twitter because you're going to do something that you shouldn't do. And then you'll be...
No. If you bring up violence and anything, that's how.
Well, did you suggest that someone should die or something?
Well, no, that's a little different. Okay?
What did you do?
I was talking. I said, why don't you bring the kids down to the border and take a shot at a few illegal immigrants? Okay.
To the president?
Kirk, I apologize for those remarks. Okay, I apologize for those early remarks because I thought you were just another one of those right-wing lunatics. Okay, but I've come to discover that the things that I think separate us are actually bind us in a lot of ways. And I would love nothing more than to sit down and discuss.
I'm actually just like you, Kirk.
Yeah, me too. I would love to. Maybe we'll go to one day and we'll have dinner after and we'll talk about the movies. That sound good?
I would love that, Kirk.
Sure.
Because I honestly, I would like to see you succeed. Okay, I would just like to see you put a lot of that old bullshit behind you, and put your focus on things that I feel that your particular viewpoint could be used on.
Okay. Well, okay. I appreciate the feedback, and this is an interesting look at sort of. Are you comfortable being called a troll? Do you think that's a reasonable charge?
Let's put it this way: I'm a troll because I have 200 followers. If I had 4.5 million, I'd be a voice of authority.
Okay. Well, what do you do professionally? I'm always curious.
I'm retired.
How old are you?
57.
Well, what did you do for a living?
I was an executive.
Must be nice
for
to
30
be
years
in the fucking.
Okay. Are you
union
married?
Business.
No.
No kids?
Nope.
That's good. Are you
It's nice to be
do you
retired
have
at 57.
a partner? I mean, what is that your
Nope, single right now. Broke up with somebody a few months ago.
man, woman? Which one?
Well, woman.
Woman. Okay. You've been married before?
No, never been married.
So what is a Brian day? What's the life of a troll? What's how does it work? What do you?
Well,
What
I
do you
get up in the morning and I do social media till noon.
what does that
He
mean?
does social
Around
media till
8:39,
noon.
do my Twitter, check Facebook, read the papers, online, and
Okay.
then
Then noon happens,
well-
and then what?
then I'll go out, hit a dispensary, take a walk,
Yep. Okay. Sure.
smoke some weed, see
Okay.
some friends,
Uh-huh.
come home, cook myself some dinner, and then watch the Nets till about 10 o'clock and go to bed.
Do you feel
By the way, this is the perfect makeup of a social media troll. A life of absolutely nothing.
like you are on Twitter too much? Do you feel like it's a dangerous thing for you?
No, I'm actually cutting back on the Twitter, focusing more on doing my podcast.
Oh, what's this? What's the podcast?
It's going to be called the Wiftic Hour.
What is the plot of this? And what is the point? What is this?
Well, the Wiftic is WTFDIC.
Ah, okay.
What the fuck do I care?
I got you. This is the one you had
And
asked me to
basically
come
what
on
I'll do
before.
is
or-
I'll tell you stories of some of the stuff I
WTFDIC
listened to in the
_hour.
backseat.
That was his social media
oh, is this the
handle.
one you asked me to come on before when you wouldn't want to come on live?
No, that was the Young Jerks.
the Young Jerks. Okay. And did you
No,
understand?
I'd love to have, if
Oh, sure. I'd love
if
to
and
do
when I
that.
get this going, I'd
You
love to
bet.
have a sit face to face with you at some point.
So I had originally asked you to come on, and you said you wouldn't come on my podcast until I went on the Young Jerks, and
Yeah, that's different. That was Mike's thing.
probably stupid, right?
I
In
don't know
retrospect,
that's
would you say or no?
Huh?
Probably stupid, right? I mean, like it would make more sense for you guys to come on mine and get promotion than me to go on yours. You know what I mean?
Either or. I mean.
Well, but I would say
See, Mike listens to your station. That's why. Mike
no, it's not my
listens
it's not my station. Not my station.
Well, he listens to EEI. He
Okay.
listens to sports. Mike listens to all that stuff. I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I never listen to any of it.
And you hope I don't die. That's our big takeaway.
No, I don't hope you. You're gonna wife and kids. Why would
Well, you wish I had died a year ago. I'm just trying to make sure.
I cannot apologize enough.
Kirk getting some last-minute stabs in.
Okay, fine.
Cannot
Okay.
apologize.
All right, Brian. I forgive you. You can tweet at me again if you'd like. It doesn't bother me at all. Keep tweeting.
Well,
and we'll...
to me, it's constructive criticism.
Okay. Well,
So there you go. There you go. So that was
Perfect Brian Rio.
that. Yeah, most of the people listening, Minifans listening, will be upset that we talked over him. But I was so impressed with that interview at the time. I'm sure I might have even brought it up with
So,
Kirk.
and like you say, I didn't know anything about that.
Hmm.
I discovered when I started listening to Kirk a whole universe that you knew about that I didn't at the time.
Yeah.
Like where I discovered whole worlds, right? When I went back and listened.
Of
And,
course.
like,
Well, and that's how
and
you
one of them was Brian Rio being a psycho.
Yes.
Because I just assumed that he was only a psycho to us.
Let's quickly
and,
get to the Justin stuff, Alice. So you are
Okay.
upset at Justin because his diet
Okay.
seems inadequate.
So, well, but and you forget because we started to record a show last night and it got derailed, but we were going to talk about Coleman originally.
Yes, we were going to talk about Coleman.
And
originally.
Coleman being like a disaster of a producer.
Pretty much, although twice Coleman's hit some threes, and like last.
He has. So, but I will say, so to backtrack off of Coleman for one moment, to hit a little bit of friendly fire here, right? Which is a few days ago, I said to you, I was like, it's weird because every producer that Kirk has hired is like retarded in their own special way.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, but not Steve.
No, not Steve, not Dave.
And I was like, no, but like Steve is like retarded a little bit.
No,
in
Steve's
some ways.
backwoodsy and weird.
I
And
like
Dave's-
Steve.
and
I like
Dave's-
Steve a lot.
Those guys.
Dave is also retarded in some ways.
No, he's not.
But Dave, probably out of all Kirk's producers, is probably the best at faking being a normal person. Like,
Dave's is the best producer for the show. Absolutely, he's totally equipped. Totally equipped. Dave has never said something as funny. Hold on.
one
said,
second.
Dave
I'm
has
not.
never said
I'm
something.
ready.
I'm setting up.
I
a
know
drop.
you're
I'm
setting up the
drop.
Coleman drop, but can I say something first?
Okay. Are you
going
going to tell me that you
because...
didn't know that Richo was part of the KMS world?
No, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that last week I said all of Kirk's producers have been retarded in their own way, and you were like, but not Steve. And I was like,
Not
well,
Steve.
I like Steve a lot, but I do think Steve is like weird and like autistic sometimes. And you were like, no. And then Steve immediately went on KMS and like called the Burlington Mall security to like name drop Bill from Milton's at them so that he could park his
He's a
thing
name dropper. He
in-
learned it from Howie.
I
He gets free
understand.
pizza that way. I have no
I
problem with it.
understand, but are we not able to now agree that all of the producers Kirk has ever hired have been retarded in their own
No.
special way?
No,
I like Kirk.
Dave
I
is
like
not-
Kirk.
Dave
I
is
like
not-
Steve.
No,
Steve also has a kind of autism. They all do.
Steve does not. He's just a backwoods Maine guy. He carries
I
a
like
gun
Steve.
and a machete.
I am Steve in a lot of ways. I am Steve, like a female Steve in many ways. I just think that like everyone Kirk has ever hired has like certain.
Not the radio
autistic
guys. That's what
qualities.
I mean. He should have one radio guy there. I mean, the others, yes. The two chair guys or the 1B guys, yeah. But there, a lot of those guys have a lot of
I want
humanity,
vindication
etc.
about Steve. I love
It's
Steve.
not Steve. No, Steve is not. Steve is not. Steve.
You don't think he has any autistic qualities?
I don't. What are you? Steve Robinson?
I like him, and I relate to him a lot.
He's
just saying,
utterly
I think
competent.
I-
Steve is a
mhm.
competent
He's very competent. I'm
and-
not disagreeing with
and an
that
alpha
ever.
dude. Autistic? What?
Well, like high functioning autistic.
No, he does not have that
I
problem.
think a little bit.
Steve's an alpha. He ice fishes. He kills things. He was
Okay.
played football in college. He does media hits. He's a normal guy. I mean, he's from backwoods of Maine. That's different. I can't believe you're picking him.
I like Steve a lot. I told you I relate to Steve a lot.
And Dave doesn't have a bit of that in him. Dave's a snake, but he's hugely talented. And I've seen him
Super
for years.
talented.
I've seen him for years. I saw him more than 10 years ago at a
I
me and
just
him-
want vindication
me and
for
her
what I
can-
said.
Me and her, people are going to
Mhm.
hate you after this episode. You know that? Because you're big step on and you've repeated the same story. Some people will think you look good. But people are going to hate me too, and both of us because we stepped. But but Colleen and I knew Dave long before I knew
Dave
Kirk.
has been nothing but fantastic to me.
Well,
What's your
again,
problem with Dave?
And I'm okay. I have no problem with Dave. I'm saying he's very competent, except for that effing Plymouth show. Oh, sorry, that fucking Plymouth show. I forget. Where he just fucked it all up. But I think that his heart wasn't in it, and that was his way of quitting. But I've seen him in action before, 10 years ago, and he's very good. Dave is the best fit for that show ever. Absolute. Dave and Justin would be the best one too. That said, neither of them could say something like Coleman did the other day, which was just, oh my goodness.
Why am I black and he's not?
I don't know, 'cause he's closer to the light, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's because your parents are black, Mike. What do you want me to tell you?
Well, his dad did leave him, so.
That's true. Oh, Jesus God. Unbelievable.
Categorize it that way.
Unbelievable. He is a
All right,
Republican.
Coleman.
He is a Republican.
As a person who is not a Coleman stan, I'm just really not. Like, I've been rooting against Coleman this entire time. I do enjoy, really, Coleman's turn to being like this little baby conservative. Even though
I get you.
He doesn't know anything, and every time he gets questioned on anything like the border or abortion or whatever, he has no answers. So that's, I could coach him up probably, I feel. But that being said, like I do, it does make me like Coleman more. That Coleman has now like attempted, he's tried to adopt a few personalities unsuccessfully, but the fact that he's now trying to adopt the young conservative personality, and he's like trying on these lines that he like doesn't know the backstory to at all, where he's like, the border's the biggest issue, and he like doesn't have anything for that, but he's attempting. Like I feel I do, part of me wants to like adopt Coleman and teach him the way, like tell him, train him up on the talking points a little bit more than he is.
On politics, yeah, but Kirk doesn't like that. Doesn't like.
Well, Kirk's not a politics guy in general.
Well, right, but he doesn't want like political stories. Really, he doesn't want to be doing what Ben Shapiro's doing, what Jerry's doing. What
of course,
everybody else
but it
doing.
is interesting, like Coleman deciding to be like, "Oh, I was listening to Alex Jones the other day," and
Yeah, that is interesting.
like, what?
That is interesting. He is definitely.
I'm a fan of that. That's interesting.
He's 24, but he's a young 24. There's no doubt about that. And I just like, I mean, that overnight thing with the baseball names, that was good of him. But before that, I had no good things to say about him. I was like more into, my feeling was that Gus brings out the best in Kirk, where Coleman doesn't, because Coleman's just a rich kid, and Kirk's already a rich kid. So you don't need two rich kids. Here's a way of Gus bringing out the best in Kirk.
Market
Oh,
basket.
sorry, hold on. I stepped on the damn setup. Hold on.
Are you currently applying for any jobs?
Yes.
Is that a lie?
No.
Okay. What jobs are you applying for?
It is a lie. Spoiler.
I've applied for some marketing jobs, some public relations jobs. Just
Maybe a marketing
where
job you should be applying for is market basket for a job. I would
Be
say.
a mailman.
That's great. That's great. But I also think that the only thing that him being a rich kid is just redundant with Kirk, because Kirk was a rich kid, and it resonates. He still talks about it. You can tell. This is, if you want to hear what Winchester rich kid from the west side, which is the other side of the mountain of where Lexington is, what a rich kid from Winchester sounds like. This is exactly the kind of things they say and did say.
So yeah, Winchester got fucked last night, and we'll see what happens. I mean, that they should replay the game right now. It's gonna be overtime. They should go back and play it. They're not gonna happen. These kids will be bitter forever. They're all gonna be at the Black Horse Tavern now when they're 40 years old. Big fatsos. Oh, remember when? Oh, now I have a construction place now. Like, oh yeah, you didn't win that game. Yeah, fuck you. And they'll get in the fights, and
Or it could
it'll be sad.
inspire
Kids will get
greatness,
beaten.
perhaps.
I guess maybe, but it feels like a bitter tale.
Oh, you wanted to talk about Justin's
Yes,
diet?
we didn't get to Justin's diet or Coleman's diet at all, which is so this is all true. Obviously, Kirk's an elitist and all that stuff that you said earlier. That being said, so do you have a horse in the Justin versus Coleman dieting weight loss race?
Well, yes, I do. I would say Coleman's going to win in a dramatic fashion. Absolutely, he's going to destroy him,
But I feel like-
Justin
okay.
is going. You asked me a question. Justin is going high carb, high calorie approach to dieting, which is,
Right?
I'll tell you one thing, it's bold. There's no doubt about that. But
Why?
I mean, I can't even. If you were serious about dieting, you would not only not be eating the buns from McDonald's, you would not eat the ketchup. If you're really doing, you wouldn't even eat the onions. You'd be doing.
The first
the-
ingredient
the-
in the ketchup is corn syrup.
What you need to do is, and I understand I'm a fat, but I recently lost some weight. But you got to get rid of all that stuff, all the stuff.
Yes.
Like you got to not only the onions got to go, because you got to get into the fat burning
Okay.
zone.
So I consider myself 1,000% pro Justin in this whole competition, and 1,000% pro Whitney, because I like Ryan Whitney
Of course.
for reasons we're not going to talk about right now. But
What are those-
nothing. I
just think
like
he's
Ryan.
hot 'cause
I
he's a
just
hockey player?
like Ryan Whitney. Okay, it's fine. I'm pro Ryan Whitney.
Well,
I'm
that's
pro
interesting to me.
Justin.
Hold on.
I don't
hold
think
the fuck
Justin's
on.
hot. What?
Hold on.
Okay.
What is it about Whitney? Is it the filthy accent, or that he's attractive, or that he's smart? Because he is smart with his shitty accent, but he is smart. He's great. I like him too. I think he's great. It's always a win. What is it about him that you?
I like him too. I don't know if smart is exactly the word I would use.
He's street smart.
Street smart. Yes.
Yeah.
He's not good at fractions.
So what do you like about?
I like Whitney. I like when he's on the show.
What's the energy you get that makes you attracted to him?
Attractive.
Oh, fucking
That's
whatever.
not what
Whatever.
I
It doesn't
said.
matter. I don't care.
I just like him on the show. It's good. I want him to win the thing, and I want Justin to win, and I don't want Coleman to win, who I don't like. That being said, I'm extremely concerned right now. Extremely. Because somebody needs to talk to Justin about the importance of macros, and not just macros, but it makes a difference even within the macros, like what types of fat and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But he's all Mr. Calories in, calories out. This is not okay. This is not going to work. It's not just
Yeah.
calories in, calories out.
Although
Macros
he is
matter, and,
27, you do lose weight easier than 27.
no, you lose weight easier when you're 27. And by the way, I'm shocked at 360 pounds.
Yeah,
That's a lot. That's more than you were at your high point.
I think so. Yeah.
You were never
We're
360
about the
pounds.
same size. Around.
No, I mean,
same
I get,
height,
I
same-
I understand I understand the 360 pound range, where that is. I'm surprised he was that big. And he must have his like Mountain Dew fast been bigger than that. No.
Oh, that's a killer, that Mountain Dew, man. That's worse
You
than
can't drink
pasta.
soda every day.
Well,
You
he
can't.
doesn't seem, according to him, he doesn't drink a lot of booze. So, like, if you're staying away from beer, that's good too. Because eating, first of all, you can't have French fries ever. You can't have bread, white bread. You can even have white bread. Are you effing crazy?
Well, and this is the thing is like Coleman's like, well, I just had sweet potato fries. Like this
No.
is yours to win, Justin.
Coleman.
No.
Oh, Justin.
Okay. This is yours to win.
Right.
Coleman's eating fucking French fries, and he started off way skinnier
I'm
than
shocked
you.
that these people don't know more about nutrition.
Justin has this in the bag if he has the tiniest bit of discipline, which I feel like he does because he quit drinking all that Mountain Dew for all those for all that time, right? Like I feel like Justin has this. It's just he's so effing ignorant.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Is he just, I really think he's just stupid, which is why my feeling is, like, somebody has to kidnap him and stage an intervention.
The problem is he's carb loading to lose weight.
No, he doesn't understand.
You can't have the
It's not
seafood
just
Alfredo.
calories.
But it's like, the seafood Alfredo, yeah, it's not just calories. It's the Alfredo, it's the pasta.
Carbs. The carbs make a difference.
You're killing...
And not only that, like, he's talking about it like it... the thing is, Justin, is that when you're super overweight, like your body processes all that shit differently than it does when you're skinny. Like when you're skinny, you can have like a pasta from time to time and it's not going to do it to you. But your body is like packing on this stuff as fat that you don't even realize. Like I want Justin to win this so bad, but I'm extremely concerned after today. I really am. And I need him to get his shit together. Like, I will help you.
Don't fucking help him.
Literally, I will help you,
He's
Justin.
got 1,000 billion people around him who can help him. You don't have time to help anybody. Help me, for fuck's sake. I'm fat. Jesus.
You don't listen to me. Justin would listen.
But I know the truth. I know the truth.
She won't